Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Prince Èmail, and as you guys can tell by the title, today we are reading the Psalm 142. Alright, we are officially day number 23, and in case you are new, this is a series we're doing on the channel whereby we are reading through the book of Psalms to end and finish the year. And so for the whole of this month, we have been reading the Psalm. So in case you are new, do be sure to go back, watch some of the previous ones, and then come back to this so that we can all finish this year on a good note. All right, and so today I'll be reading from the ESV, and the title says, "You are my refuge." This passage is not too long, right? And so I'll just read over, and then afterwards I'll go through bit by bit, and then I'll add what I have to say and what I'll be taking away from the passage. Before we do get into the read, I'd like to add the title, the title underneath the title, right? It says a maskil of David when he was in the cave, a prayer, right? I think that is important to the context of this passage. And so without any further addition, this is the Psalm 142, and I read. With my voice I cry out to the Lord. With my voice I plead for mercy to the Lord. I pour out my complaint before him. I will tell my trouble before him. When my spirit faints within me, you know my way. In the path where I walk, they have hidden a trap for me. Look to the right and see. There is no one who takes notice of me. No refuge remains to me. No one cares for my soul. I cry out to you, O Lord. I say, you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are too strong for me. Bring me out of prison, that I may give thanks to your name. The righteous will surround me, for you will deal bountifully with me. All right, guys, that concludes the reading. And so that is why the title we read before this passage is so important, right? Because we read that David, was in a cave, right? He was basically confined within a cave, and that this is a prayer from him, directly from him. And so we can see the vulnerability that David is sharing. And I think what touches me the most is when he says, when my spirit faints within me, you know my way, right? Confessing, right, of who he knows God to be, right? He says, in the path where I walk, they have hidden a trap for me. Look at my right and see. There is no one to take notice of me. No refuge remains to me. No one cares for my soul. In your moments where you feel the lowest, sometimes it brings you to a place of loneliness, right? Even though maybe that may not be true. You may have friends, but there are moments in life where, when you are so low, you feel you have no one to turn to. And I think this passage serves in a way to remind us that we always have someone, that we always have God, we always have, one who is there, one who is ever present and ready, right, to hear our cry. So then it says, I cry to you, O Lord, I say that you are my refuge, my portion in the land of the living. Attend to my cry, for I am brought very low. Deliver me from my persecutors, for they are too strong for me. Bring me out of prison, that I may give thanks to your name. The righteous will surround me, for you will deal beautifully with me. Alright, and that concludes the reading. What I find here to be something that we should take note of is how David in the verse 8 says, deliver me from my persecutors, for they are too strong for me. I remember my mom has often told me, right, if you know how to fight for your own, or you know how to fight for yourself, God will not fight for you. I'm not sure if it's a Bible verse, but I think it's such a powerful thing, right? Because I think in the Bible, this I know to be a verse, right, where it says, be still and God will fight for you, right? The Bible often reminds us or calls us to find stillness or to seek him, basically, right? Because there's no way you can be still, right, when you don't see God, right? Despite of how strong you may be, there are certain situations where you have to run, right? You have to flee to the Lord. Why? Because your human self will not permit you to just be still. You are weary, you are anxious, right? And so we find only the stillness, which, from our previous reading yesterday, we know that stillness comes from God, right? It comes from Jesus Christ. But either way, this verse, right, speaks strongly on how, limited we can be as people. I believe, right, we know David to be such a great person in the Bible, one who has been anointed, one who, has been reassured, right, to a certain degree to be called, right, to a certain position. However, he acknowledges, right, that his enemies are too strong, right, for him. It does not matter how mighty or how powerful you think you may be. We are seeing here David, such a mighty person, being vulnerable. I just would like to bring it back to what I was saying about prayer. In prayer, there are no boundaries. You can take anything to God, right? Whether it be anger, right? Whether it be, sadness, trouble, everything can be brought before the Lord. And so then in the last verse, the verse 7, right, we see David ask of the Lord, right? He says, bring me out of prison that I may give thanks to your name. The righteous will surround me, for you will deal beautifully with me, right? He asks something, and then he in a way kind of affirms himself, right? He says, the righteous will surround me, for you will deal beautifully with me. He affirms himself, knowing that God hears and that God shall answer his prayer, right? That concludes today's reading. This was a very straightforward one, I believe so. However, I think, in a way it brings us to a degree of understanding when it comes to prayer, where we see, mighty men also go down on their knees, right, in trouble and vulnerability, right, and they pour out their hearts before God. All right, guys, so that will conclude today's reading. All right, and so that being said, guys, do be sure to leave a like on the video, as it helps, the channel a lot more than you think. And subscribe if you're new, turn on your post notification so that when I do drop tomorrow, you are notified. That said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.